You want to make sure you've gotten all the bubbles off and plaster deformities, and you want to paint your model really well. And there's a bubble right there. Alright, paint your model. The most important thing with the Apex Revolution is the measurement of your spring and your bow. You want the distal of the spring to be perfectly at the distal of the teeth of 2 to 2. Sometimes you can lengthen a spring or shorten a spring, but I usually bend these little arms up first to see where I'm at. And I squish it in there, and I can tell it's a little short, so I'm gonna make it work. Come right there and I open those bends, get it in there just right to the distal of the teeth. And I find using my bird beak is a little bit easier. Makes a better curve. We don't have much movement here, so I'm going to kind of stick this wire at the cingulum kind of perfectly, but if you're pushing out, you want it a little bit lower than the cingulum, and if you're coming in with it, you want it a little bit above. But on the upper, you try to stay down regardless. Okay. I just start bending my loops. Try to keep them round and a little bigger on the upper. Try to keep the distal of the spring the same length on both sides. Process when you work with the wire. Now I try to get these wires out of my way immediately so that I can work with it. Alright. Touching right there. Come right there and push it in to get closer. And another thing, these distal wires right here need to be at the same angle as the teeth. You want this spring wire to be perfectly touching all the teeth, the upper and the lower part of it, not sitting at an angle. I kind of curve it a little bit to go with the teeth, and you want it perfectly on there, no space anywhere, perfectly touching. And you try to get your spring as close to the tissue as possible, but you do want some space there because the doctor needs to be able to work with it. Alright, and then once you get these helicals kind of where you want them, I kind of come down with my arms like that. I usually take my wire to the distal of the bicuspid, measuring it out like that, and I will bend my little foot up Try to keep it the same on both sides. Now it's just a matter of getting the wires as close as possible without touching. Cut this out. I'll leave about that much of a foot and take my white mark off. You can always adjust the rest of it straight across. Same height on all the teeth. And where I want with my wire, pretty much. There you have it. Okay, I'm not real happy with that. It's a little bit longer. This how I want it. Another thing, when you get it in place and you might be touching a little bit, sometimes you can make adjustments on the model when you're done with it. Like so. You can tell it's touching a little bit. Okay, there's my spring. Perfectly straight, touching everywhere. You want to make sure when you measure your bow that you're always picking one that is in the first third of the cuspid area. You want it always to be right here. No further and no more forward. You want it right there as much as possible. And then I usually just get my loops like I want them first before I begin. Make them pretty and round. Get them the same length on both sides. Kind of eye it. Now, start bending your wire. I use my burr beaks. It keeps creases and stuff out of the wire. It's just easier for me. Whatever works. Sometimes your loops will be causing you to not get it on there close, so you need to bend them out of the way.
Doing these deep programmers for him. Goody, goody.
There we go. Perfectly touching upper and lower part of the wire. All the way around. I'm going to come right here and bend that out a little bit because it's keeping it from touching. That loop's keeping it from touching, so I'm going to bend it out. There we go. It's just laying up there, gently putting it there. Now, let me start getting these loops over to go over the occlusion. One important thing, you want to go straight into that occlusion, not at an angle. I usually grab it like that. Sometimes you have to open your loops a little bit. In this particular case, there's a gap there, so I'm going to go up against that bicuspid, straight into it, and make my mark right there. Down and up every time. I'm going to go and bend it this way because it's getting heavy. I'll fix that in a minute. But I'll come to the other side. I'm going to bend that out of the way and get it closer. Alright, now I'm ready to go over into this occlusion, straight into it. Keeping them both straight on the facial wire, straight across. That tight in that occlusion there. Just keep working with it till you get it right. Once I get it where I want it, it should sit there. And I start bending it down into the pallet, and I'll make a foot this way. I like to carry mine all the way to the spring wire and just get it couple millimeters off the tissue. I'll go ahead and cut that out that long. Do the same on this side. You can measure, but I don't. Just try to carry it down to that spring wire. Not as tight as I want it. to get those feet at the same angle as the tissue. Turn them. Usually wax it right here. I am shaking. Might be the coffee. Spread that up a little bit. Oh, this one's touching too. There you have it. Touching.